Hi, my name is Tim Coombs, and I'm going to tell you the story of Jonah. One day the Lord said to Jonah, the son of Amittai, "Go to Nineveh, that great city, and cry out against it. The Lord has seen your terrible sins. You are doomed." But instead, Jonah ran from the Lord. He went to the seaport of Joppa and bought a ticket, not to Nineveh, but to Tarshish, Spain. And Jonah went and handed in his ticket and boarded the ship to escape. But the Lord made a great wind to blow, and the waves beat against the boat, and it was about to break up into pieces. And the sailors were terribly frightened. They began to pray to their gods. In fact, they even threw the ship's cargo overboard to lighten the ship. Splash! But Jonah was down below deck, fast asleep. But then the captain came down and said, "Aye, matey, what are you doing sleeping at a time like this? Get up and pray to your God. Maybe your God will take pity on us and keep us from drowning." Well, finally, the sailors on the deck said to one another, "Let us cast lots to our gods, and maybe they will show us who has caused all this trouble to come upon us." And so they cast the lots, and the lot fell on Jonah. Jonah. Have you caused all this trouble to come upon us? What is your business? Where are you from? What is your country? Who are your people? And Jonah said, "I am a Hebrew, and I worship the Lord of heaven who made the sea and dry land. And yes, I am the reason this trouble has come upon you." And the sailors were terribly frightened because Jonah had told them that he was running from the Lord. And they said to him, "Do you know what you have done?" Well, the sea kept growing worse. And finally, the sailors said to Jonah, "What can we do with you to make the sea calm down?" And Jonah said, "Pick me up. Throw me into the sea, and it will calm down. I am the reason this has happened." Well, the sailors tried to row to shore, but they weren't able to do it, and the sea kept growing worse. And finally, the sailors prayed to the Lord. They said, "Lord, don't drown us for taking this man's life. Don't hold us guilty for killing this innocent man. All this happened because you wanted it to." And they picked Jonah up and threw him overboard. Splash! And the sea calmed down. And the sailors were frightened, and they started to pray to the Lord and make all sorts of promises. Well, the Lord commanded a great fish to swallow Jonah up. And it did. And Jonah was inside the belly of the fish for 3 days and 3 nights. And from inside the belly of the fish, Jonah prayed to the Lord. "When I was in trouble, Lord, I prayed to you and you listened to me. From deep in the world of the dead, I asked you for help and you answered my prayer. You threw me down to the bottom of the sea. The water was churning all around, and I was completely covered by your mighty waves. I thought I was swept from your sight, never again to see your holy great temple again. I was almost drowned by the swirling waters that surrounded me. Seaweed wrapped around my head, and I sunk down below the underwater mountains. I knew I'd be a prisoner there forever. But you, Lord God, did rescue me. When my life was slipping away, I remembered you. And you, oh Lord, in your temple, you answered my prayer, saying, I will keep my promise. I will keep my promise. All who worship worthless idols turn from the God of all mercy and with shouts of praise. I will offer to you, O Lord, a sacrifice of praise, saying, I will keep my promise. I will keep my, because you have the power to save. I will keep my, because you have the power to save. I will keep my promise. And the Lord commanded the fish to vomit Jonah up. And it did. And once again, the Lord commanded Jonah to go to Nineveh, that great city, and cry out against it the message of doom. And Jonah obeyed the Lord. Well, the city of Nineveh is so large that it takes 3 days to walk across it. And after walking for 1 day, Jonah began to deliver the message from God. He said, 40 more days and Nineveh will be destroyed. And the people of Nineveh believed Jonah's message, and they repented. In fact, everybody in the city put on sackcloth, and they even put sackcloth on their animals, and they called a time of fasting, and everyone, great and small, young and old, followed it. And when the king heard about all of this, he got up from his throne. He took off his robe, and the king put on sackcloth and sat in ashes. And then the king sent an edict to all the people of Nineveh. It read, Hear, O people, by order of the king and his officials, no one or cattle will eat or drink anything. Everyone shall wear sackcloth. You shall even put sackcloth on your animals. And you shall pray to the Lord with your whole heart, and turn away from your cruel and sinful ways. Who knows? Maybe God will take pity on us and not destroy us, as God has said. Well, when the Lord saw how the people of Nineveh changed their ways, God did decide not to destroy the people. Well, when Jonah realized this, Jonah became upset and angry. And he said to God, God, I knew this would happen even when I was in my own country. Why, that's why I tried to flee to Tarshish, Spain. Oh, you are a grace-filled God and full of mercy. You are slow to anger and abounding in steadfast love. You won't punish anyone, no matter who they are. And I just wish that I were no longer alive. I wish I were dead. And the Lord said to Jonah, what right do you have to be angry? But Jonah had already left the city. He left by the east gate and went and sat to see what would happen. In fact, Jonah built a shelter for himself to protect him from the sun. And Jonah sat under the shelter and waited to see what would happen to Nineveh. Well, the Lord commanded a bush to grow up over Jonah's head. And the bush protected Jonah from the sun. And Jonah was happy to have the bush. But early in the morning, the Lord commanded a worm to attack the bush. And the bush withered away. And as the sun was coming up, the Lord sent a scorching wind against Jonah, and then had the sun beat down on his head, and Jonah began to be faint. And he cried out, "Oh Lord, I'd rather be dead than alive. I wish I were dead." And the Lord said, "What right do you have to be so angry about this bush?" And Jonah said, "Yes, Lord, I'm just angry enough to die." And the Lord said, "You are upset about this bush which you did not plant nor grow, a bush that sprang up one morning and died the next. Shouldn't I be concerned about that great city of Nineveh, where there are over 120,000 people who do not know their right hand from their left? And also much cattle too?